This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Brown and Michael Yu.
Hello, welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I am Morgan Brown.
Michael Yu.
And I'm the Podfather.
And we are so lucky to have an amazing guest.
Special guest.
Who is here today, Michael?
Adina Dragasanu.
Oh, good job.
Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah,
Adina?
you did.
Okay.
Good job. Were you practicing?
I was practicing in the mirror.
He was chanting your name this morning. Chanting.
Dragasanu.
Dragasanu. That was
Well
it.
done.
Yes.
To get started, like, what's the origin of that last
Yes.
name?
I'm Romanian.
Romanian.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So in Romanian, apparently it's pronounced Dragasanu. Which I did.
Dragasanu.
Yeah.
It's so like,
It's good.
so cool.
Yeah, that's like
You
a
know?
boxer you don't want to
It's-
fight.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Yeah, I was always embarrassed by it. And I like couldn't wait to
Really?
get married. Like when I was young, I was
Yes.
like, I can't wait to get married and change my name. And now I'm just like, oh, that's way too much
It's too much
Like,
work.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. So, like, did you?
What's your husband's last name?
Guzman.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Which could work.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
But like,
I know. You're already there.
Now
Yeah.
it's
You're already done.
Why did you not like about your last name? It's so cool.
the fact that people have to practice pronouncing it to actually
How
say
do you say it?
Yeah. But I remember like when we were in school and when every time we had like a sub teacher or a new teacher, they'd like, like Stephanie Smith, Morgan Brown. And then it'd be like Adina. And they just pause and you got to be like, Dragasanu.
I have the exact same problem.
Do you?
Yes.
What's your last name?
Dukowski,
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
a silent Z in
Yeah.
there. It's
Oh,
like,
how-
why? Why does
No.
that need to be there?
And they just freeze up and
Yeah.
they don't know what to do.
D.
Right?
They just call me Braden D.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Do you think but having that like stopgap with your name, do you think that had an impact on you and an effect on you?
Like traumatically
Like,
speaking?
or positively, even positively? Or,
I don't know. I think as like,
Didn't
so
it make you
I
feel
was born
special?
in Romania, right? And we moved here when I was 6. And I think as an immigrant kid, you always feel awkward. And then having that makes you feel even more awkward.
Yes.
Right? And you're kind of like, So I don't think it was positive growing up. But now it's just kind of like, whatever.
So
own
when
it
did you
and move.
immigrate
Yeah,
from?
tell us a story.
Tell us a
Oh,
story.
let's
Give us
tell
a
you
story.
a story.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was born in Romania and it was communist at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then my parents left as soon as communism was over. They applied to leave and we came to Canada in 92.
Okay.
And I was 6 years old.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I was 6 and finished like my last week or few weeks of like grade 1 in Canada, but I didn't speak English.
oh wow!
They were like dirt poor. It was just, it was quite the
so they
experience.
immigrated from Romania.
Yeah, they were like in their 30s. They had me and my sister, who was 9, and they moved over with $1,000 in their pocket. And like
Love
my
it.
mom didn't speak English, my dad kind of did, we didn't, and so
Where did you
was-
land?
we landed in Montreal, but then my dad kind of got us a spot in Toronto, and then we grew up in Toronto.
Okay.
What
So
did
I
you-
grew up in Toronto
Oh,
actually.
you grew up in
Yes.
Toronto.
Yeah.
What did your parents do?
They're both engineers.
Oh,
Yeah,
Amazing.
totally.
okay.
They're super smart. My dad's an electrical engineer. My mom's a mechanical engineer.
What?
I very much disappointed them by not even not being an engineer, but going into sales and marketing was always my passion. And
Okay.
but yeah, it was really good. I think I learned. I work really well with engineers. A lot of our
Oh, do
clients
you?
are like
Yes.
engineers or numbers analytical people, and it's
Are
really
your parents like that too? Yeah.
oh Michael, yeah.
How would you like? That's like crazy. How was that being raised like by that? Because you obviously
yeah.
have such a business mind, right?
I guess so. Yeah, I think that's I'm very analytical, and I think growing up with Eastern European or immigrant parents, they're always pushing you to do better, right?
Oh,
and they're
okay.
always like finding your little room for, I was going to say flaws, but room for improvement,
Okay.
right? So you kind of grow up analyzing everything and always trying to do better and figure out the way to like make things work and being resourceful. So I think that's had a really good impact on me.
That's amazing.
So you landed in Montreal, but you grew up in Toronto.
In Toronto, yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved to Toronto. We got signed up for school. We did school and kind of did our thing. And then we moved to Brampton, Ontario, which if
Okay.
anyone knows Brampton,
Oh.
do you know
Small,
Morgan?
very
Do you-
small.
What's with Brampton, Ontario?
Yes.
It's like the Surrey of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Is it
not
not
Brantford.
Cranford?
Yeah,
Okay,
not
Donna
Brantford.
Brantford.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
never mind.
Yeah.
It's a little gangster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
little,
that's why we get along. Yeah, the gangster over here.
It is.
So were you listening to rap music?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I know. Morgan's
not
like
classical symphony?
Morgan's my
Totally.
spirit animal.
Yeah, like seriously, we feel a rap.
Oh, really?
But we were like when we were
Not
young.
Scottish folk?
Not river dance music.
No, not Riverdale. Not like
that's weird.
Michael. Sorry.
Exactly.
But
No sea shanties?
yeah, no, we were very hardcore. Like we used to listen to like DMX and like not
Yes.
like.
Oh,
and
really?
I always laugh because I'm a big
DMX,
rap
okay.
person.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at when you go to a nightclub, whenever Tupac comes on, it's always the white girls from like the suburbs that get the most
yeah.
excited about like Tupac.
Wow.
And I think that was us.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
What's your pump up song, Adina?
Oh, my pump up.
Like, do
Like,
you have
what's
a
the
hip hop
first-
pump up
Ooh,
song?
Yeah, please. Like this is good.
You know what? I love Drake. I know everyone
Okay.
hates on
So
Drake.
I love Drake.
Yeah.
Toronto, love
Come on.
Drake.
Well, there's
you know,
nothing- there's
started
no
from
shame
the
in that.
bottom.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Right.
here.
Headlines. Like
Right.
anytime I listen to that, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, we got it.
I love
And
it.
yeah, so, but I don't know. I've got a lot, like anything hip hop. I don't like the new hip hop. I feel like an old
Yeah.
lady now. I'm like, new hip hop's just
Not for me.
Not
No.
my
Yes.
generation,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
I'm the
90s.
same way. I'm the
rap
same
music.
way.
yeah, kids in the,
Yeah, I
but
get that.
anything 90s hip hop, rap, I'm all over it.
Right.
Yeah, we just had the same conversation with Gina Bourne. We're all in this. We're all
yeah.
the same kind of
Yeah.
age group.
Yeah.
We're used to like like it's your birthday, but
Yeah. 50 Cent.
50
Yeah.
Cent.
Oh, I thought it was by Barney, the dinosaur. Like, oh, it's your birthday.
I love you. This is it.
Yeah. I'm in the backyard gang.
So when did you come to like? So you obviously first of all, for people that don't know Adina, she got her. I guess you got your marketing BCom degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in marketing, right? Marketing and business.
And
Right?
yeah, so I actually ended up doing. So I was at UBC. For,
Okay, so you traveled from
Traveled.
Yeah.
you went to school here.
So kind of the backstory was somehow in my teens. No one knows why, but I had this vision of living in Vancouver.
Oh.
What?
And everyone's like, "Why do you want to live there?" I'm like, I'm going to live in Vancouver. I'm going to live
Really?
in Vancouver, and that was just my thing. And I had started goal setting because So I guess
Yes.
from my childhood to my teens, I was a little negative and like cynical child, and
Why?
I think, growing up with like as an immigrant kid and you don't feel like you belong. And then when we were young, like I'd get picked on in school. So then I became like a bit of a bully. And it was just
Yes.
like, it's a lot easier to be,
Toxicity.
and it's a lot,
Talk.
it's way easier as a kid. Mommy brain.
I know, like, mommy toxicity.
Yeah.
Okay, where's my coffee? Go. I got a lot of stuff to do today, people.
But I think when I look back on it is like, as a kid, it's way easier, or as an adult, it's way easier to be negative and focus on negative things and like say mean things and like focus on that than it is to stand out and be positive. Right. And I had a lot of that in me. And I think, I don't know when it was, but in my early teens, I had read some stuff on goal setting and I was like, let me just try this. And one of my big goals, I had 3 big ones I wanted to do by the age of 18. And one of them was to live in BC.
Okay, what are the other two?
I wanted to go skydiving, the kind of, and then I wanted to hike across the Rocky Mountains. Not all the way across.
Yeah,
but
like,
like do a trip.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And so all of those things happened.
You
Which
went
is,
skydiving before you're 18?
yeah. And you know what the coolest thing? Actually, I ended up taking
That's
my
scary.
mom.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't let you go
Yeah.
if you weren't 18, and I needed her to come. And then,
Did you guys go together?
yeah, which is
Really? Your
crazy
mom's so
because she's
supportive.
terrified of
Oh, yeah.
heights. She's 100% scared
Then
of
how
heights.
did you get her to jump out
Yeah.
of a plane?
Especially an engineer. Like,
It's actually one of her favorite stories because she's just like, I couldn't live with the thought of you doing it and something happening to you.
Oh,
that's so
wow.
sweet.
That's so
That's
awesome.
like the plunge.
Yeah, so I kind of not conned them, but I've inspired her to come with me, and it's been one of the best things she's done. And then and I went on a Outward Bound trip. I don't know if you guys know Outward Bound.
No, what's that?
It's like they take teens and adults and stuff in wilderness programs. So I went on a 30-day like mountaineering trip in the Rockies. and
30 days?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's a long time.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
like
super
usually
cool.
they have like a 15 stint, and then they have. You're right, like it goes a
100%.
month and the
What's it
100
called?
days.
Outward Bound?
Yeah, Outward Bound. So cool.
Yeah.
Isn't it
And
like a movie?
it was
Homeward.
the dog.
You're thinking homeward
dog.
bound. Yeah. He gets the
Homeward Bound.
porcupine stuck in his nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That with
Anyway.
the dogs, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had 2
yeah.
dogs that
Yeah.
they could talk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
Where
amazing.
am I right now? Is this my house?
what happened? Does Mike have mommy brain?
I think he's got mommy brain.
I'm just joking.
He's got-
I'm joking.
So-
I'm all
so-
here.
So I find that so fascinating. So you came over and then you were like, I'm going to go to UBC. Is that right?
So I was like, I'm going to live in Vancouver.
Okay.
Like, this is my
Okay.
thing. And my parents were like, what are you talking about? Like, they thought it
Were
would be
you
a phase.
18 or like what was?
I think when it came in me, I was probably like 14 or 15.
Wow.
So I saw this thing about this guy writing goals, and like he'd run on the treadmill and say his goals. So I was a runner like in high school. So I'd like
Okay.
run every day and be like, I live in BC. Like, it's so dorky, but I would like
Oh, really?
tell
So
myself
you
that.
were,
Yeah.
like a mantra type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd never
Serious
been here.
affirmation,
We had
yeah.
like no family here, but I just knew I had to. So when the opportunity came to go to university, I was like, okay, well, why don't I just go to UBC, or I could go to McGill or
Yeah.
Ontario, but I was like, let's just go to UBC.
Right.
And
So then you
I never-
landed here.
Yeah.
Did you stay on campus? Did you
Yeah.
live? You
Yeah,
lived
yeah,
on campus.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I lived on campus. Like, we didn't have any friends or family
Yeah.
here, right? So I didn't know what I was doing.
That's really brave, Adina.
I guess. But you know, I look at it, I'm like, that's what my parents like. I think we're
It's like normal. Like you like only went across the country as opposed to
Yeah.
what they did.
that's
They went
what
to
I tell them.
Canada.
They went to a new country where
across
they didn't speak the language.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I moved out here, and truthfully, I didn't love it. Like, I thought Vancouver would be like Toronto, but with mountains around it, right?
Okay.
But it was such a culture shock. Like,
How
people,
so?
you know, I think in Toronto, and like people are so like charismatic, and
Yes,
things are going
yeah.
on, and like university is like so fun, and there's all these parties, and UBC was like, you're in the dorm, and everyone closes their door and does
Yeah.
homework. And
Really?
yeah, it was weird. I don't know. And
That's bizarre. I didn't
They're very
expect
focused.
that.
They say that
Yeah.
that UBC is the most focused campus.
yeah,
Really?
It's very
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On academics?
I guess
Yeah,
so.
academics?
Yeah, academics.
But my brother, like my brothers were from here, and my brother actually chose to go like live on campus because the focus level is just so
Really?
high.
I know.
And he was wanting to be a doctor before he was 28. Like,
Yeah.
it was very important to
To be focused,
To
yeah.
be focused. But they say UBC is like
I could say.
incredible.
100%.
So
Yeah. Whereas Ontario, like people live on campus to like meet
Party.
other people
Yeah.
and
Yes.
party, and so we didn't have a lot of that at U. Well, you know, you have parties at UBC,
Yeah,
but
the
it's
sub.
a different level. Yeah, the sub. So what did we? Yeah, so I didn't love it, but then I decided to stick it out. And once it was actually when I graduated from UBC that I moved downtown to Yaletown, and I
Okay.
was like, oh my God. Like, life is so good here, right? Like, where else in the world, you know, do you wake up in the morning, get out of your condo, go run on the seawall? You have, you know, clean air, clean water. We finally got to see the sun, because at UBC, when you're in the school season, it's raining
Right.
the whole year, right?
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
come right at the end of like summer, and then you leave at the end of rainy season. So I think after I spent my first summer here, I was like, oh my gosh.
You got hooked?
Oh man, I got hooked.
Yeah.
Like, big time.
And Yaletown's got like all the best of the best. That's why people move
Yeah.
there. It's like best food, best
Everything.
culture,
Yeah.
like totally. So that I can so see that. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And then you studied business?
Yeah, so I studied business, and I in business you could specialize in marketing, real estate, finance, and I was always drawn to marketing, but I remember getting this little inkling, like, maybe I should go into real estate, right?
Okay.
And I was starting to see, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to sell buildings? Like, I thought I'd do commercial real estate, or
Okay.
because I'm very
Yeah,
business-minded.
analytical.
Right.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
and I called my parents. I was like, you know, I think I want to sell real estate. And they're like, no way. Like, we didn't like
your
save up
folks
our
are
whole
still
lives
in,
in Ontario.
in Ontario,
Yeah.
okay.
And they're like, we didn't send you to university to be a realtor.
Sales. Bye.
Bye. No. So then, but real estate, I mean, UBC has a phenomenal real estate program,
Right.
and geared more towards development and commercial real estate. And so I ended up just doing my degree in marketing, and I did a few internships, and then I just double majored in real estate.
Okay.
And my professor, Sir Somerville, who is such a legend, I don't know if you guys, he's in the news a lot. And
Okay.
just amazing guy.
His name was Sir Somerville?
Sir Somerville. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Really cool guy.
Cool.
Look him up.
He sounds
First
sounds
of all,
like a
I need to
Smurf.
name my child Sir. It's like the best thing ever, Sir.
Yeah.
So people have to pay you respect.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like saying
No, but
like
it's spelled
king.
like TSUR. So,
T-S-U-R.
Yeah.
Sir.
Sir. Yeah.
Still think that's cool.
It's
Yeah.
so cool. He's
Okay.
one of the coolest guys.
Okay, okay.
Okay, cool.
And he
Sir.
was like, you should go into residential real estate. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to be a realtor. And he was the one
Too
that
talented for that.
don't you know? And I was a bit of a, you know, I was like super nerdy. I was like president of the marketing association and done internships. And I was like, I don't want to be a realtor. I want to go work for a big company and sell
Yes.
buildings. And
Right.
and he actually recommended I talk to Pete, but I never reached out to Pete Spock.
Oh, okay.
And then
He just took his job.
Yeah. So when I graduated, I never made that contact. He had introduced me to someone else. And it's funny, actually, he did introduce me to a kind of big shot agent on the West Side. And I went to meet up with him and I was all excited. And I was like, maybe I do want to do real estate.
Sure.
And he was like, why do you want to do real estate? And I was like, because I love people. and he's like, if you love people, don't be in this business because you're going to see the worst in people.
Wow. Really?
He was like, I'll tell you who it was after. No, he was
jaded.
serious. Like, he was like,
he was
it's going to
serious?
burn you out. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, if you love people,
Yeah,
this
I
is
totally
not the
agree.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, it's a
Really?
well, I mean, like, you shouldn't go into real estate because you love people.
Yeah.
There's a whole other level of it, right?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Do you think he was
amazing.
right?
At moments in my life, at moments in this market. And
Right.
because we do,
Yes.
and I genuinely, I love, and that was one of the things that I really loved about residential versus commercial is you're dealing with people and
Yes.
you're helping them and you're helping them through. And it's so rewarding,
Right.
but it's so stressful too. When things go wrong, like as
It's like,
rewarding.
yeah.
And it's hard,
It's
right?
emotional.
It's emotional.
Because it's so personal, right? Even though like you're
100%.
not.
So what did he tell you? Like, what advice did he give you?
He basically said, don't go into
Yeah.
it. And then he was like,
Top agent.
And my other reason was like, well, I want to make a lot of money. He's like, for every $100,000 I make, I spend 300,000, right? Like he was kind of,
Wow.
Who is this
I'll
agent?
tell you who it
Terrible
was
business
after.
model.
First of all, I need to know, and I think I know who it is.
I'll tell you who it was after. But anyway, so I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. And then I went to go, so my
Returning.
professor connected me with this other guy who ran this agency in West Vancouver, and they sold luxury recreational properties, which is
Right.
where
Right.
Pete had worked. And
Reference Pete's
Pete
podcast.
Schmuck. Pete, yeah, my forever mentor. He likes to be. And they brought me in to, I guess, replace him. But to what I understand, he didn't know I was coming in to replace him. And I didn't know he was there. And it was a bit weird.
Small world.
Yeah. And so what was interesting, though, is when I started, it was 2009. And we had just gone through the recession. Right. And I thought this was going to be my dream job because, I'm selling multi-million-dollar properties. Pete's done really well for the
Yeah.
last 5 years.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to make my 6 figures. Like, this is it. Right. And because the market was down, and they warned me, they were like, Adina, it's not a good year. I was only getting a cut of the lead agent's commission. So there was no salary. Right. But I'm,
like,
I
I'm
thought
good.
I'm going to work out. Yeah, whatever. Even if I make half of 6 figures, I'll be good. Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell anything for like the first year I was there. Like I worked every day from
Wow.
8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I hustled and I was trying to come up with ideas and, but it just, the market wasn't there at the
Right.
time.
The soil wasn't.
Because
Yeah.
Yielding
08,
fruit.
after that recession, 08,
Oh,
and then
man.
going into 2009, it took like 2010 for everyone to see blue skies.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. So they were giving me like a draw on my commission. And so basically they were giving me some money to pay my rent. And they're like, but when we get paid, it'll get deducted off it. And they didn't make any. So I think by the end of the first year, it was like I owed them money after working there for a year. It was just brutal. So that's when I was like, oh, maybe, because they were like, well, you have your license, start selling properties. And I'm like 23 and I'm broke and all my friends are broke and I don't know anyone, right?
Right.
Like, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
But that was, but then I realized like I needed to kind of focus on something. And at the time, I had a big relationship that I was in for a long time that like fell apart. So I was kind of the low of the low in 2009.
Right.
And then,
Dark clouds.
yeah, dark clouds. But I was like, okay, I got to do this. And that's when I got back on my goal setting. And I was like, okay, I'm going to, get in this. This is how much I want to make. This is what I want to do over the next year. And I just write out my goals every day.
Planner right here.
That's why I love Michael's goal setting because
Yeah.
it's 100%. So, and then I decided, anyway, so I think I did like 2 deals. They were really awkward because I didn't get any support. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I realized, okay, if I'm just going to be making money by doing my own deals, I should be somewhere where I'm getting able to do open houses and
Right.
meet other agents. And then I had met Jessica Chen at a showing. And I always remember I walked in with this client. And she was one of my first clients at the time and I didn't know what I was doing and I was so nervous. And we did like Jessica's showing and I remember just being in awe of her. And I was like, oh my God, like she's someone that I would totally want to be like, right?
Oh,
Like,
beautiful.
like someone with integrity and like really professional
Right.
and just, so I took,
Knowledgeable.
knowledgeable.
Lovely. Just lovely.
Yeah, totally lovely,
Yeah.
right? And just driven and she's just on. Like she's
Right.
not a sleazy realtor that I had in mind of. And I called her up and I was like, my client's not interested in the property, but can I take you out for coffee? I was like,
Good,
and
good.
so yeah, I went out for coffee and she kind of was like, you know, you need to move over to the brokerage she was at the time. So that's when I took the leap. And that's when I kind of, all my dreams were
Starting to come true.
Yeah.
well, not yet. Like I was still
Not
at
yet.
the bottom,
Still there.
and I was like, shoot, I really need to make. I was driving like an old Buick with like a missing hubcap. Like, it was just like,
Best. I love those moments though, right?
Oh, God,
because that's
yeah.
like the most life-changing time. Because when you get to the bottom, and I think everyone needs to hear this. When you get down to that very bottom, and I think that it happens to all the best of us.
Yeah.
it's when something changes and you change and the rest of your life changes.
Yeah.
So when you get to those bottoms, just get back up because
100%.
it's the thing that will really, really like get you to the next level.
Totally. And in that time, like I always look back, I'm like, how lucky it was that I didn't do well at that company, right? Because if they had done a bunch of deals and say I made 6 figures and I think like, oh, I'm on fire, I'm making all this money, when really it would have had nothing to do with me. It would have been the market. And I wouldn't have gained any skills.
Right.
Right. Whereas like when you hit the bottom and you leave, I think, you know, after like a year and a half or 2 years, like I think they finally paid me like 20 grand. Like it was just to
my
me, you know,
gosh.
coming out of BCom and
Yes.
as if you're a little on your high horse out of BCom, like, oh, I'm going to be a CEO.
President of the marketing
Yeah,
club
don't
at
you
UBC.
know who I am? Don't you know?
So what age? So where were you? So when you went to the last brokerage prior, what?
So I think I was 23.
Okay.
Was because I had just finished school. It was 2009. So yeah, so I was young.
Great.
And yeah,
And so
then,
how has it been since then? Like, what's been like your transition in? Because first of all, for people that do
realtor.
not know,
yeah.
you are one of our top producers
right.
and
Yeah.
one of our like very
Great leader.
Thank
a
you.
great
Thank you.
Sets a
leader.
great
Thank
role
you.
model
At
and sets a great
Oakwyn.
example for a lot of us. Yeah.
That's because of the president of the marketing club. No, thank you.
She
Thank you.
signed
I don't-
something. She asked me that.
I don't know. So I think for me, it was, this has been 11 years in real estate, right? And or 11 years, because I started 2009. I left and joined Sutton at the end of 2010. And here's the thing about me, I'm a slow starter, right? Like I'm very cautious, like my engineering parent background, and it
Right.
takes me a while to kind of, I did a few deals, I hit my goals in that first year, and then I kind of went through some emotional ups and downs, and it took me a while to really get my bearings. And I think it was maybe about 5 years ago that I really found my path. And then from there, it's just grow.
Double.
Yeah. But
She's doubling down,
I don't
people.
know. But I do, like, once I get going, I'm just like, there's no stop. And the other thing I think I've learned about myself over the, last 10 years is, for me, I thrive when things are challenging, right? And when there seems like there's no hope, that's when I'm like, okay, I got to get on and like make this happen. Whereas when things go easy,
Like,
don't know,
in
I
what
just-
times of your life has that happened?
that things have gotten challenging. Oh, a lot of times. Well, I think coming into real estate, like, so leaving
Being
that
young,
brokerage,
like,
like leaving that brokerage, and then I had moved over to Sutton at the time, and it was like, okay, do deals, contact your friends and family. It's like, I don't have any family here. My friends are broke 23-year-olds. I don't know what, I've never done a real estate transaction. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm not a cold caller. So that was definitely probably my lowest point professionally. And I felt like a huge failure because I had failed at that, job there. So that was probably my biggest failure. But then what happened to me is, that year I reached a lot of my goals. I did well
How did you do
financially. Writing, I read Think and Grow Rich at that time.
Yes.
Which
Napoleon Hill.
yeah. And quite literally, I would just write down every day. I'd wake up in the morning, or I don't know if I did at night, but I'd have my notebook and I write down like what my big goals were and what I was going to, because what I really like about the Think and Grow Rich is not just about what you want, but it's what are you going to do in exchange to get that.
Right.
Right. So
So it has to be you have to pass things off to get it. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And then if you focus on what you're going to give to the world and to other people, then what you want comes to you. Right. Rather than just sitting at home and being like, oh, I want to make 100 grand, or I want to. So I was doing that, and I was like running on the seawall every morning, saying my little Tony Robbins mantras. Like, it was kind of the next phase of But then what happened to me that was kind of interesting was after I hit those goals, I kind of tripped out a little bit because then I don't know if you've ever had this when something happens that you've really wanted and then it happens and you're like, oh gosh, like what do I do now?
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, and then you're like, what's the meaning? Anyways, I went to an existential crisis.
Okay. What questions did you ask yourself?
Well, I was just kind of tripping out because I think I wanted the success to prove it was possible, right? Because I think my parents, they were mortified that I was going into real estate, you know, instead of going into a steady job working in marketing, they were like, why would you leave that and go start off on your own in a career that's like very challenging?
Unstable.
Yeah. So to me, it was like, well, I'm going to prove I could do it. And then as soon as you prove you could do it, now you kind of realize like, wait, I could do anything. So like, what should I be doing? Right. You know, like I overthink everything.
I love it.
So yeah.
Did you have any other options like that you seriously considered?
Well, like I had done some internships in like brand management and like I had opportunities to work at companies, but the company I had worked at before, which is a big telecommunications company, that was my last internship in school. I remember it like crushed my soul, like working for a huge company.
It's very different.
It wasn't. Yeah.
What's cool about you, Adina, is that you have such a growth mindset. Like your mindset is just so focused. You are like big on coaching. I don't think
God.
I know this about you. You are like massive on you. Do you have like a couple coaches?
Yeah.
She's got a couple coaches. She's constantly developing herself.
Yeah.
What are some of the things? Okay, first of all, what made you get these coaches?
So I've always been into personal development, right? Like I was always listening to like Tony Robbins audiobooks and like that's what kind of helped me in those first few years. And then I always dreamt that, you know, I'd make enough money one day that I could have a coach or like go to these programs. And so I was always dipping into that.
Right.
Okay.
And then probably, I think it was 5 years ago, I signed up for Buffini coaching. Jessica had been doing coaching and I saw it helped her. And I was like, well, let's just give this a shot, right? And see. And I was doing it and it was, you know, I was like, okay, whatever. Like I didn't realize how much of an impact it had until I looked back at that year and I realized how much it helped me incrementally over that year. So that was great. And then it got my business to a point where it really, and Buffini coaching is awesome. I do a huge plug for it. It's really good at helping you grow your business in a way that was natural to me, which was by referrals.
Right.
So in a way of focusing on your clients and serving them. And then, you know, getting referrals from those clients rather than a lot of coaching that I had seen was focused on like, get your clients, do the deal, then find more clients, find more clients.
Yeah.
And it's just not me. Like, I just really wanted to serve people. And I just believe that, you know, if you were in a restaurant and they were kind of like, eat your dinner, we need another group here, you wouldn't want to go back to that restaurant.
Yeah, sort of aligned with you. Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's like I go back to places that provide exceptional service and that do a really good job.
You're like a massive person with experience.
100%. Yeah. How do you know so much?
I stalk you on social media. I'm stalking you all the time.
So
Secrets of Morgan Brown.
The creep.
So I'm more like cheerleading. I'm like, yes, Adina, yes, keep it going.
So that really helped me build in some systems to just really look after clients and provide them value-added services beyond just the transaction, right? Because at that point I had gotten good at the transactions, but it's like, how do you keep in touch with your clients and how do you, and then it got to a point where I was like, okay, I have all these clients, but I just didn't have the systems in place. So I got a bit overwhelmed and I transitioned over to Richard Robbins, which phenomenal coaching. So then I was like, okay, I'm done with Buffini. I'm going to Richard Robbins. And that was because I wasn't at Oakwyn. Because if I was at Oakwyn, I would have just done Michael Yu coaching. Guys. Because our brokerages, like when we started, right? And you had they sign you up and you have no support. You have no clue what you're doing, right? So, and then what happened was I had an opportunity. I had left my coach at Buffini and then this Patty Martin, who I'm going to shout out Patty, who's amazing.
Love Patty.
Yeah, we're Patty fans.
I'm a huge Patty fan.
And I are,
She's like another mentor. And she was like, no, you got to stick with Buffini. You got to talk to my coach. 100%. She's like, I'm going to set you up with my coach. I'm like, no, Patty, I found a new one. I really like them. And she's like, she's going to call you this week. And then she called me and it was like, she was speaking into my soul. And I was like, okay, I'll try it a bit and then I'll make a decision. And in true, I think I'm a bit of a commitment phobe. In true Adina fashion, I haven't been able to drop either of them because they're so good, and I get so much
awesome.
value from both of them.
You know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then I picked up a mindset coach this last year, which
Really?
I thought-
So you have 3.
I know.
That's awesome. Well, you know
What is this
I'm a little
mindset coach?
overcoached.
Yeah, what's a mindset coach?
I like this
Well,
idea.
So she's amazing. So I had met her, like another big thing I've been in over the last 10 years is meditating.
Okay.
And I had met her through this like meditating community I was part of. And she trains a lot of like NHL hockey players and Olympic athletes like, when they hit their like plateaus or they hit their ruts, where they hit their
Right.
rut and
Yeah.
they need to get back
They
on.
need to break through.
Yeah. And I always thought that was cool, but I didn't really see how it applied to me. And then she started doing it a lot with business people.
I need this in my life.
Oh, you totally.
So cool.
Oh, but what's so cool about it? And I was like, okay, I don't know. I'm doing well. I don't really have room for another coach. And she's like, no. It's not going to give you more work. It's going to help you like break through and realize what's holding you back. Because I think one of my things is I'll work hard, but then I kind of overcommit and I overstress myself out. And I noticed that I was my biggest barrier, right, to getting to the next level. And, but what's been so cool working with her, it's amazing. I'll send you her contact if you ever want.
I'm doing it.
But it's made me realize that, how much of what we do is mindset and how much of it is stuff that's been programmed into us at a young age. And, because I think you've done PSI, Mike. What did you
No, I haven't done PSI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Which one did
just
you-
like I've done a bunch of counseling and stuff like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, this is an awkward. Yeah, just to try to obviously I think it's healthy to
Breakthrough.
to talk to people that are experts and they can guide you in certain ways. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's been really, so I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm overcoached, but
No,
but
I don't think so.
to me, I think my mindset is, I want to be doing this till I'm 90 and I want to just nail in my business. And I always want to be doing a better job for clients, right? And a better job I'm trying to grow our team out and like do a great job for them. And, I
First
noticed
of all, your
that.
team right now, everybody. So you just started building this team out,
Yeah.
like in the last
Yeah.
year and a half, right? Year and a half.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when I started seeing
Yeah.
Natasha.
Yeah.
And then I saw Deidre like come in.
Yeah.
How did you pick these incredible
With Mike's
rock
guidance,
star?
I feel like.
Yeah, good.
Mike did give me some tips, and I had an assistant for I think 3 years before Natasha, and she was great. And then she left to pursue an opportunity at a developer, which is awesome. And then I was kind of scrambling, finding someone else, and I realized I really needed someone to kind of help, manage and not just someone to delegate. And I think Mike had given me some really good advice. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but you were helping me break down numbers of like, when you're at this many deals, like you should have an assistant. This is what you should focus on. And I found Natasha, who's been amazing. Like she's just
incredible. Yeah.
She's like one of the hardest workers, and she's just so committed. And it's made me realize how much stronger.
And she's an administrative
Operations manager.
I call her an operations
manager. Okay, perfect.
So
Sometimes
go.
I refer to her as an assistant just so it doesn't sound too like lengthy, but she's really the backbone of everything we do. And it's made me realize, I think our biggest drawback as realtors is we try to do everything ourselves. Right. And if we're doing everything ourselves, you guys know this.
Yeah,
Right.
it's great.
But it's like you burn yourself out and you're not doing really anything. It's like your dentist booking in your appointments for you.
Yeah.
And
Makes
like,
sense.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Right. And so she's really helped me just take my mind off a lot of the admin stuff and just focus on, being with clients and providing great service. She's also really good at thinking up of gifts for clients, which has been really good, and events, and then I found Deidre through Oakwyn this year.
Yes.
And she is amazing. Like I'm such a fan. And again, it's like, I think it's such a testament to the culture you guys have brought, because I know even when I was interviewing Natasha and talking to her is, the draw of the community, of being part of the Oakwyn community was really appealing to her. Right. And I think even Deidre has, 27 years of experience in real estate
and building and design and
yeah.
everything.
And she's built her
incredible.
own homes, and she's the most humble, like amazing person. And, she came on to Oakwyn. I never would have met her. And it was, I think, Arlene who introduced us.
Right.
And so I built my team because of Oakwyn, I like to say.
That's so good.
And, but yeah, it's just been phenomenal. And, I realize even with them, it's still me that's holding back the growth, because I still try to,
do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's part of our
so I'm trying
nature.
to, I'm
So
trying to get out of that.
I'm really interested in this mindset coach
Okay.
specifically.
Yeah.
You know,
Mike
and,
really wants the number.
Oh, Mike, if you,
like no, I think like you know. I have so much respect for people that are constantly trying to improve themselves and in this pursuit of growth and new knowledge and new things. So, like, what is some of the like one or two things that the most important things you've learned so far doing this?
Well, I think it's been fascinating because starting to work with her, I was like, oh, she does all these big, athletes and business people. So I'm like, I'm going to learn all this strategic stuff. And it's literally, it comes down. So she does NLP. So it's really about like identifying patterns in your programming, right?
Your
Like not just
subconscious mind.
and
right?
it's mostly in your subconscious mind and like breaking through those. And what I didn't realize is how much of the experience I had, as a 6-year-old, and even pre-6, like, it's really from 1 to 6 that a lot of your beliefs are programmed into you. And I knew that, but I didn't think I had any, I was like, no, I'm good. I do good now. Right. And I realized all the things that hold me back are things that were programmed in me back then.
Yeah.
And every time we work at like unlocking one of those, it just frees me up to just not be
Like, how are you
by
unlocking that right now?
How, like I've I think it's the first time in my 11 years that I'm better at delegating, right? And leaning in on other people instead of trying to do everything for everyone and taking on everything. And
the younger sister thing.
yeah, 100%.
A lot of that.
How do you,
Because my mom's a coach. And
Yeah. Oh, is she?
She's like always, there's always like a deep rooted pain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and one of my meditation teachers, he had to, like, when I first learned 10 years ago and I did it and it was like helping me. And I was like, oh, I got to stop because I thought I was losing my edge. Of my edge being, writing down my goals every night and what I needed to do. And he was like, no, Adina, he's like, just keep doing it. And you'll see that like right now you've been motivated by your survival brain, right? Like your brain's telling you, you got to make money or you're going to die. Right. Or you got to, and he's like, as you learn to kind of dissolve a lot of your subconscious stuff, your growth becomes infinite because you're not doing it out of fear. You're doing it out of a more like holistic place. So I think that was already kind of starting to show up, and she's helped me see how much of what I was doing is out of fear, right? And how much of the control stuff I have is out of, little scared Adina of not wanting to give up control, because when she did, things didn't go well, right? So having that is what's allowed me to kind of expand.
And having trust in the other people
That's
you
a
have.
big breakthrough.
It's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Having trust, because when you're so used to just delegating or being you. It's not like you have such a strong team now. And I think that it comes both ways. You have to have a strong team and you got to have like the mindset to just like let it go.
Let it go. Yeah. And I'm still struggling with it. It's not like I've done it for a year and I'm like good at that, but that's what I'm working on. And if I hadn't had that, I don't think I'd be able to keep functioning the way we have this year. So
this and last year, this year and last year.
Yeah.
So tell us about the last couple of years and how it's been with COVID and what's to come with for you, Adina.
Oh, I don't know. COVID is funny. I've been thinking back. I did our market update today and it's been a year, right? Like it's literally been a year since COVID hit. And, when it hit, it was just such a shock to everyone. And remember, everyone was like, oh, the market's going to tank and we're going to have double-digit price declines and no one's going to buy property. And I loved it because our phones stopped ringing for 2 weeks, which never happened before.
Right.
And then the part of me kicked in that was like, well, let's buckle up and get to work, right?
Yeah.
And like, how do we be there for people? And like, we have thankfully had put away money that, if we didn't do sales for 6 months, I'm not going to die. Like it's going to be okay. So how do we show up and support other people? And how do we work on all the things that we didn't have a chance to work on before because we were busy? So COVID to me kicked me in high gear. Like I loved it.
So cool.
Yeah.
Having that kind of mindset through like a pandemic, it's a global pandemic.
I know.
Like, hey, this is a chance for us to improve. Like we're all good. Like,
but we
buckle
actually
up.
had time, right?
Yeah,
like
and-
that was the
Yeah.
first time, because going into that, like when I was looking at, remember this time last year, January and February, we're busy.
Yeah.
Right. And for me at that time, like Rachel had just gone off. I was trying to find like I was a little bit
Scrambling.
And, a lot of people, Adina, to your credit, would in that time they would not have hired people. They would not have kind of done. They'd be like, oh, like why
You
would
invested.
you do that?
You
And
invested.
it's funny. I think that we had a conversation. You're like, oh, I have time to train them now. I have time to like work with them. And then I was like, yes, because during that period of time, we were talking to other business owners and everyone was downsizing and firing staff, and they're like kind of bragging about how much they're trimming their bottom lines. And I was like, we gotta, like, you know, we took the same attitude as Adina for sure. And that maybe
because we're long-term, right?
Long-term thinking, right?
We're not in this business for another year.
I like how you said not till 90. I was like, 90
years old? 100%.
I love you. Yeah. I'm going to make you sell my house at 90.
100%. That's my goal. I'm like, I never want to retire. Like, I love this. Like, when I got into it, like the residential, when I finally got the swing of things, I was like, there's nothing in the world I would rather do than this, right? And what's more fun than, like...
Totally.
Yeah.
I was telling someone yesterday, like, I was telling them this morning, actually, because I think it's been over 15 years for me. And... I was like, I'm not bored with it yet.
No.
I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
You know? And there's so much to learn, right?
There's so much to learn. There's always something new. And I think at our age, it's so cool. You start seeing people have kids, and then you start seeing their kids grow up.
And you're a big part of their life, right?
You're a huge part of their life, right? Yeah. And since we don't have family here, my husband, we have nothing else to do. So like we just work a lot. So I'm like,
is your husband in the same, like what's he do?
He does painting and drywall. So he's amazing. He's originally from Mexico. And so he doesn't have family up here either. So we're both kind of just workaholics. We have nothing else to do.
That have come over.
Immigrants working all the time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, like, I really like there's something called like an immigrant mindset. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Can you do?
Oh, I don't know. But I don't know if I know the exact definition, but I know, like, I see it in Victor, myself, and Victor being my husband. And, you know, I see it in my parents. And I think to me, the immigrant mindset is you're just so grateful for what we have to live here. Right. And a lot of my friends get really annoyed when I go off on this rant. But, you know, when I look at Vancouver, and any of us who have traveled, right, we'll see that, yes, Vancouver is expensive. We're not all going to own, you know, a house in Kerrisdale or
big houses.
Yeah. But the quality of life we get here, right? Like we get like clean air, we get our water comes from the mountains. Like think of this, like when you travel, you got to buy bottled water to drink it.
Right.
We're showering with water that Canada would bottle up and sell to other countries to drink.
That's toilet water. Is what like other countries would like love to have.
It's so funny you say that
through their pipes.
Because like going to Thailand, I was like when I started like going into like the tuk-tuks and all that stuff, I was like, this water is like, I had to buy it. Yeah. And it was like one of those first things that I thought of when you travel. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like that mindset is completely different.
And we have like fresh air. For me, I went to India in 2012 and I was like, the level of pollution, like similar to,
yes.
And I'm like, how are people living like this? But they don't know any different. And I think when you're an immigrant and you come from a place that has a tougher lifestyle, or it's like tougher to get ahead, right? Like both where Victor and I resonate to is in Mexico and in Romania. If you don't have contacts or you're born in a certain class, it's really hard to work your way up.
Yeah.
Right? But you come here and you're willing to learn, you could do anything.
Right.
I know.
Right. And I think coming from a tougher place makes you appreciate what you have here and makes you want to make the most of it. And that's why to me is like, I love working. Like I've been working since I was 14. Like I've always wanted to work. Working is like more big because it's so, to me, it feels like a privilege to be able to give back and help people. Right. And do things. Whereas I think some people, maybe if you had an easy life and you didn't need it, like you wouldn't have that drive.
No.
So
it's so
I don't know. So I don't know if that's the true definition, but that's what I see in me
I
and
think
other
that
people.
nail on the head for sure. Just having that, having that perspective of, I think a lot of people take a lot of things that we have here for granted. Totally. And we're just so lucky to live in this country and to have the opportunities that we have and to be able to, have equal opportunity in a sense to, anyone, whether they're from Romania, Mexico, Philippines, China, India, wherever they're from, there's a chance to make something of yourself here, which is really exciting and cool. I think,
and also to have a dream.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you talked about, you're like, I was on the treadmill and I was like thinking of moving to Vancouver. Yeah. And that is something that is acceptable. You can do it.
No. Yeah.
And even
that's a great message.
Yeah. Even, and specifically in our industry as well, because, I think we have total control of kind of how we present ourselves, what type of service we give. And, like Adina was saying, the not being in a big corporation or anything like that. We have that ability, which is pretty cool, right? And
it's like, when I look at my story of how I started, what I think is so cool is I didn't, real estate's all about contacts. And it's like in this business, you can start with no contacts and make your own contacts.
really
Right?
cool that you didn't make that as an excuse, because we meet a lot of people and they make that as
Yeah.
their excuse.
And
I
they're
don't know
like,
anyone.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm too young.
Well,
I
then
don't
go
know
meet
anyone.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
then go meet
Go
people.
and meet somebody.
That means if you don't know anyone, it means you have time, right? And
Yeah.
but you need to have that drive, and I think you have to have that, no plan B,
Yes.
right? Because if
Oh,
you
I
have a
love that.
plan B, you're not gonna
So true.
get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, I think so. What's next for Adina?
Yeah, what is next on
I'd
the
love to
job?
learn
next?
more, like,
So
about
now,
what you're writing.
yeah. So what are you writing now
when
on
you're
your
running, what are you
thing?
chanting to yourself?
You know what? I don't run anymore.
When you're walking, what do you chant to yourself?
I always told Pete I'm like 5 years behind him. 'Cause he was working at the company, so I need to catch up to Pete in 5 years. But no, I think what shifted for me over last year now is really looking at my life a little bit more holistically and trying to come up with some bigger, more meaningful goals for myself while growing my business. So it's not just, about the deals or the clients. It's like, how
Personal.
do I, and how do I grow myself to the best version I could be? And how do I show up as that, not just for my clients, but also for my family and my husband. So that's what I'm
nice.
trying to focus on in this next phase.
Wow.
Can't wait.
Like contributing to others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect way to end.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So you know
Adina,
what?
I'm
the
obsessed
time
with
has
you.
flying by. Like it's.
Let's go.
Adina's like really good at podcasting. People.
Yeah, she's really great at
Oh my
podcasting.
God.
Next goal, take over.
Take over all the
Like,
podcasts.
my jobs.
Yeah.
So on that note, guys, thanks so much, Adina. Thank you so much for being
Thank
a part of
you.
the pod, and thank you for Adina brought us these
Yes.
wonderful gifts for as well for
I
our
know.
For the babies.
babies to be.
I can't even
thank
bend
you.
over because I'm so big.
Thank you, Adina. If
You're
people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
I think probably Instagram.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, adina.yvr, because Dragasanu is too much to type into. Or adinayvr.com. That would be great. Yeah. And that's probably the best way to reply.
Thank you, Adina.
Well, thanks so much
Awesome.
for joining us at the Oakwyn Podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to go to our join page at oakwyn.com/join or
Type into the message box.
Type in the message box.
2021.
Yes.
And you'll receive a free piece of mystery swag.
But
and,
wait, review us.
Oh yeah, and please give us a review if you've enjoyed this podcast. Please rate it 5 out of 5 on whichever podcast app you're listening to. Until next time, thank you, Adina,
Thanks,
for joining
Adina.
us.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. See you guys. See you later.
Bye bye.
Thanks.